Hi, today we are going to talk about Shaco player that was able to reach Diamond 2 on Korean server with a staggering 88% win rate after almost 100 games. He also has 2 accounts that are located in Masters. This makes him highest ranked Shaco jungle player on Korean server. By the end of our discussion you will know what runes to take, what items to build, how to clear your jungle, what's so good about his build and how did he adapt it after 9.20 patch. So, let's dive in. First of all, let's talk about runes. Before patch 9.20, this player always used electrocute rune page. This was a stock standard rune page for Shaco, and even today some players are still using it. However, he had 2 small adaptations. He used Ghost Poro over other options from this row. A reason for it is a small trick that allows you to stack it faster. Its idea is very simple. Oracle Lens has lower cooldown than a Warding Totem, so by constantly swapping between them you can get a lot of wards very fast. Here's how you do this in a real game. If you recalled and your Warding Totem is on a cooldown that is bigger than 45 seconds, swap it for the Oracle Lens and just keep it in your inventory until next recall. Don't use it. Most likely by the time you will have your next recall, your Oracle Lens will be off the cooldown. Now it's time to swap back to Warding Totem. Surprisingly enough, you will have 2 wards ready to be planted. Second adaptation is usage of Chip Shot over the sudden impact. The reason for it is his love towards Blue Smite. Yes, old Shaco usually went for the full lethality build, and sudden impact adds a bunch of lethality to it, but magic penetration part of sudden impact was basically useless for the old Shaco, because his burst combo consisted of auto attacks, Q and E ability, and Tiamat active. All these abilities deal physical damage, and boxes weren't as important in Shaco's burst combo before 9.20 patch. However, with patch 9.20 came changes to his rune page. First of all, Electrocute has been swapped in favor of Dark Harvest. This is because Shaco's scaling has been hit, so in order to keep being relevant as an assassin during the late game, this player added some scaling into his page. Another reason why Dark Harvest became more relevant are changes to his E ability. Nowadays it's more of an execute ability rather than just a part of burst combo, and execute abilities work well with Dark Harvest, since it basically adds a bunch of damage onto them. Best example is obviously Karthus. Speaking of E ability, our player also started to take sudden impact instead of Chip Shot. This is because nowadays E deals magic damage, so having magic penetration for the burst combo of Q auto Tiamat auto E now makes sense. Last thing that should be mentioned in regards to rune page is that for the longest time this player used sorcery with water walking and absolute focus as his second rune tree. But recently he swapped back to pre-920 combo of Legend Alacrity and Coup de Grace from Precision tree. This is because he realized that new Shaco, even more than old version, is less of a one-shot assassin like Rengar, and more of let me attack you for some time and then execute with a fadeaway E while running from your angry teammates, like Nocturne. Let's talk a little bit about summon spells, because our hero uses quite unusual ones. Before patch 9.20 he used Smite and Ignite, which is a classic choice for the Shaco. Shaco's Q has the same range of usage as Flash, so it's basically a flash on a lower cooldown. This lets Shaco get away with Ignite, that makes his earlier 1v1 skirmish potential stronger, his ganks more dangerous, and in a late game lets Shaco cut healing of the target he's trying to assassinate. However, after 9.20 patch, 45 started using Smite and Ghost. Why so? In my opinion this ties up to the type of champion that Shaco is now. Remember how we discussed that Shaco now needs some time to attack his target rather than straight up one-shotting. Ghost helps with that by letting Shaco to stick to his targets. Also, nowadays Q ability has low invisibility time at level 5. Ghost helps with that too, since you will get to your target quicker. Anyway, in the end it is up to you what summoner spells to use. In my opinion both Ignite and Ghost are useful for the new Shaco, and, honestly, most Shaco players use Ignite. Let's make an improvised poll in the comments. Write your opinion on what summoner spell is better on Shaco. Is it Ignite, Ghost or maybe Exhaust? "45 always start with W. At level 2 he level ups Q, and on the level 3 he level ups E. He maxes E first, W second and Q last. The reason for it is probably his love towards faster clear and Blue Smite. Let me explain. You start putting additional points at level 8. Usually this is the time when as a jungler you need to be everywhere at the same time. One of your lanes require ganks because it is important to snowball it further. Other lane is on the verge of feeding, so you probably want to roam there with your mates. Maybe one of tier 1 towers is already down, so now you have to play around this lane, while not losing farm at the other side of the map. This is when boxes can help you clear jungle camps faster, plus you can leave a few monsters alive, because your box will finish them by itself. Another thing that was mentioned is his love to blue smite. Here is a fun fact. It takes 2 seconds for the box to arm. You know what also lasts 2 seconds? Slow from the blue smite. You feel it, don't you? By placing box at the start of your assassination and slowing your target down, you basically guarantee your box to trigger. After all, champion free duration from the triggered box scales from 0.5 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Just imagine this CC train that you can apply in the late game. Duskblade, Blue Smite, Box is almost 4 seconds of CC on the Assassin champion. Insane numbers. Hey, we've got to what is probably the most desired part of the video, item build. In order to fuel your curiosity, let's start with the build that 45 used in order to get Diamond 2 with 88% win rate. As you can see, build doesn't bring anything special, but it still has this mild flavor that is inherent to item builds of every exceptional solo queue player. 45 always upgraded his jungle item, and it always was a Blue Smite warrior. Most Shaco players didn't upgrade their jungle item into a warrior, and even if they done it, usually they used Red Smite. By the way, a lot of players still use this build, so if you feel adventurous, you can try it too. It is still an alright build if you are able to get elite in early game. However, when 920 patch came out, our today's hero slightly changed his item build, so let's take a look at updated version. Nowadays 45 always starts with Hunter's Talisman, Rejuvenation Bead and Warding Totem. However, immediately after the spawn, he places a ward in the base and swats for the Oracle Lens. We already talked about why he does it. As for Talisman and Beat, they just give the best sustain possible. You might argue that refillable potion gives more sustain than the Beat, and this is a true story, but if your clear comes in the right manner, then you don't really need potion. Also, this player always gets Tiamat as his first item, and having Beat from the start of a game helps him a lot. If for some reason he doesn't have enough gold for the Tiamat, then he just buys Log Swords. His second buy is always Berserker Greaves. These boots are the only boots he uses in Shaco. His third buy is always Blue Smite Warrior. After he builds Duskblade and Static Shift, then he finishes Ravenous Hydra and ends up his item build with Guardian Angel. If game gets into insanely late stage, then he swaps his warrior for the Infinity Edge. This might sound weird, but I've never seen him changing his build. He doesn't build more, Sterex, Last Whisper or any other item. By the way, Static Shift deals magic damage, so here is another cool synergy with Sudden Impact. 45 uses only one clear, Red Golems Raptors. Reason for it is that this type of clear is simply the best right now. First of all, Raptors and Golems give the biggest amount of gold and XP, so clearing them first is the most efficient way to start a game. This route is so strong that in early game, if your ganks are successful, you can limit yourself to only one card on the jungle. Constantly clearing Raptors, Golems and Red right after the spawn, together with skills on the closest lane, can keep you even in terms of experience and gold against opponents that farms everything else in the jungle, but doesn't gank as much. Secondly, Red Golems Raptors is a very adaptable route, and what you do after you got level 3 heavily depends on the state of the game. You need to react to your opponent's starting clearing route, and you need to react to lane state. During the world's preparation, Korean junglers improved this route to a point where if you will master it, your first 10 minutes of a game will become invincible. This is why this clearing route is the most popular route right now on a Korean server. This route is a definition of solo queue jungling meta right now, because it gives you everything you want: gold, experience, possibilities to gank, to counter-gank, to counter-jungle, and even to the full clear of your own jungle. Luckily enough, after 920 update, Shaco is one of the best junglers in the game in terms of doing Raptors, Red, Wolves route, especially with Thermite build that 45 uses. So here are your options after you hit level 3. You can get bot lane, you can counter-gank bot lane, you can invade opponent's blue buff, or you can just move to your blue side jungle and farm there. What to choose is up to you and in-game situation. There should be a link in the corner of your player to the video where Skillcapped discusses route in all details. Okay, let's talk about technical side of jungling by this player. Usually he places his first box somewhere on the road of the possible invade. Second, the third box goes on the red and fourth on the golems. Keep attention to how 45 always tries to attack camps from behind. This is because of Shaco's passive. It is pretty important trick because additional damage makes you clear considerably faster. Always try to do this. Also, our hero doesn't clear golems fully, instead he makes them low and leaves a box to end them. In the end, it is up to you. Do you want to clear golems faster but lose more health to raptors? Or you are ready to clear golems slightly slower by killing all of them by yourself but lose less health to raptors, because you will have box right from the start of clear. If this video gets 500 likes, I will make a full analysis video on one of the games from this player, but at the same time I don't want to leave you with just the build and starter clear right now. To be honest, what is more important than build is how you play, and I will talk about it right after the short announcement. I want to tell you about two opportunities that you have in regards to this channel. First of all, there is a Discord channel, where from time to time I post links to translated guides from the best Korean players that were made by other channels and that I found being useful. You can find a link to it under the video. Secondly, if you feel my work deserves appreciation, you can show it by getting membership on this channel. Every member of the channel gets some pleasant monthly bonuses, and if you're curious where the money will go, they will literally go onto my living needs. My dream is that one day I will be able to cover them simply by doing YouTube and Twitch, but this can happen only if you decide to help me. So, let's go over things that I noticed in 45's playstyle. He doesn't force ganks, which is uncommon for Korean junglers. By the way, I have an idea of making a video where I would compare junglers playstyle from NA, EU, KOREAN and CN. If you find this idea interesting, leave a comment with names of junglers that you would like to see in this video. Anyway, back to our player. Being more of a reactive player than a proactive might be why he's not high right now, but at the same time this playstyle probably is why he has such a high win rate. If you are lower than masters, I suggest you to gank when you are sure that you will get the kill, rather than trying to force a gank on a target with a lot of health. When 45 gets red buff, he spends a lot of time looking for ganks or other pressure points. Red buff adds a lot of damage, so if you have a choice to farm a camp or gank, maybe even force a 50-50 gank, always go for the gank. These two things greatly lead to the quote-unquote third rule. 45 always prioritize ganks, counter-ganks and dives over farm. This means that if you are farming a camp, literally any camp, and you see that in this exact moment one of the closest lanes getting ganked, immediately leave the camp and run to help your teammate. Don't try to end camp, just leave it and go counter-gank. In case of ganks it usually looks like this. You have two options, farm and gank. A lot of players, including myself, think like this: okay, I have 20 seconds to farm the camp, and then I will gank, nothing will happen, right? Wrong. During these 20 seconds, opponent's jungler can come closer towards the lane you want to gank, and it will be easier for him to counter gank. So just gank or dive, and farm you comes after. It is fine if you don't clear them right after they spawn if you are good successful ganks. Well, take a look at other guides on this channel after the video ends. Write any thoughts you have in the comment section. I answer almost all of them. Subscribe, like, get membership, consider visiting my streams or Discord. Links to everything will be under the video. I think it is all that I wanted to say about this Shaco player. Good luck in the last weeks of Season 9. See ya!